Welcome to the Happy Bones, Happy Life podcast. I'm Margie Bissinger, a physical therapist and integrative health coach, and I am your host and guide on our journey to discover the keys to stronger bones, more happiness, and the secrets to live your best life ever. From nutrition to stress, from exercise to happiness, you will gain revolutionary insights from our leading experts. It is time for you to discover the health and happiness you deserve. Hey, Margie here. Are you ready to learn how Chinese medicine and Qigong can help your bones, overall health, and even reduce your stress levels? Well, if so, you're in for a treat because our special guest today is Brodie Welch. And Brodie is a licensed acupuncturist, board-certified herbalist, and self-care strategist. Brodie helps self-aware, high-achieving women break the cycle of stress, overwhelm, and self-sabotage so they can enjoy their lives they're working so hard to create and live into their potential. She's helped thousands of clients optimize their weight, digestion, hormones, sleep, mood, and vitality. And Brodie has been practicing meditation, yoga, and Qigong for over 20 years and holds teaching certifications in each of these disciplines. She synthesizes ancient techniques from Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, and yoga with the latest research in neuroscience, functional medicine, and habit change to help her clients thrive. She's the founder of Life in Balance Acupuncture in Corvallis, Oregon, where she's been treating patients since 2003. And she's also the creator and host of A Healthy Curiosity, the podcast that explores what it takes to be well in a busy world. And in today's episode, we delve into some concepts of Chinese medicine that can help all of us. And Brodie also takes us through a really simple Qigong breathing exercise that you can easily put into your life and really reap some great benefits. So it's a very interesting episode, and stay tuned. Welcome, Brodie. I am so excited to have you here today. We met, I guess it was like 3 years ago, and I've just been a real big fan of your work, and I'm so excited to share you with all the listeners here because you really have a wealth of knowledge to impart and something different. What you're going to talk about today is something that really a lot of people haven't been exposed to, and it's so powerful. I'm such a big believer of Qigong, and I practice it every day myself. So I've been doing this for many, many years and see the benefits. And so I'm just really thrilled to have you here, and welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here and to get to chat with you twice in less than a week when you just joined me for my podcast a few days ago. And I'm excited to continue the conversation here for your listeners and to hopefully introduce them to some things that they may not know about, but that could be powerful resources.
Oh, great. Well, to start with, let's just define what Chinese medicine is, because I think a lot of people think of Chinese medicine and they think of acupuncture.
Yes.
And that's about it. They don't realize that there's so much involved in Chinese medicine, and there's so much that people in all parts of the world can learn from. So it's something that, we live in a society that we can take the best of everything to help us. So why don't you just go over what really Chinese medicine is?
Sure. Well, just like we don't think of Western medicine or allopathic medicine as just drugs, Chinese medicine is not just acupuncture. It's a complete system of healthcare that dates back thousands of years and encompasses its own system of diagnostics, its own way of looking at the world and at the body. And then there are 5 branches of Chinese medicine, the sexiest of which is acupuncture, but there's also herbal medicine. There's also Qigong, or energy exercise. There's using food as medicine. Some people think meditation is a branch of Chinese medicine. Body work, just using the hands to create balance in the body. And really, like, what these all have in common is that the goal of any Chinese medicine treatment is to restore balance to the ecosystem that is the body. So if in Western medicine we think about the body as this machine and we need to like fix these different parts so that everything works better, in Chinese medicine the metaphor is more like you're a garden and you need to figure out if something goes wrong, that what is it going to take to bring everything in the garden back into harmony? Like, does it need more sunlight? Does it need more shade? Does it need more fertilizer for the soil? Does it need more water? Does it need less water? Is like what could be done so that everything sort of is able to flourish. And so so we look at the body as an interconnected whole. We also look at each different system of the body as having yin and yang aspects, right? Everyone's probably familiar with the yin yang symbol, the black and the white swirls with that little bit of dot of the opposite color within each one. And that's basically a model of the universe. And so it's not, and it's a model of the universe saying that everything requires an oppositional force that not only opposes it, but keeps it in balance, right? So everything in the material world, like we can't have hot without cold, we can't have up without down, we can't have inside without outside, we can't have matter without energy or energy without matter within the body. All of these things need to be in balance. And so just like so we can think about every system of the body needs both. And so it's the goal of every acupuncture treatment, of every herbal medicine prescription, to bring yin and yang back into balance in a person's body so that the whole, so that the branch or what brought someone in to see their practitioner, as well as the root of whatever is underlying that imbalance, are both addressed so that the person can feel healthy and whole. And it's a true mind, body, spirit medicine, because basically everything is energy, right? That we know from Einstein that matter and energy are the same thing, and the speed of light squared is thrown in there too. But basically, it's like energy is always on the verge of becoming matter, and vice versa. And so, if we think about ourselves from the lens of quantum physics instead of Newtonian physics, we can get a very different sense of what's possible. So, really, if we look through the lens of quantum physics, we're mostly empty space with tiny little bits of matter, but we're 99.999% empty space. And so instead of just thinking of ourselves as a meat sack, right, we can think of ourselves as this living field of energy, and that we can affect that energy in different ways in order to feel different in our bodies.
Oh, that's great. So let's talk about, I mean, I think Qigong helps every part of our bodies, but let's actually look at the bones, because it's not something that people even think about, that Qigong can help your bones in the ways that you're going to tell us, because it's very interesting. So why don't you actually, the other day when I was on your podcast, I loved what you were telling about the kidney energy, and it's nice because we can influence our bones through other methods and didn't even realize we're helping ourselves.
So a few terms I should define. So qi is energy, or the life force. It could also be translated simply as gases, right? So like oxygen and carbon dioxide, like taking in and letting go of this activating force that every cell requires in order to feel energized, right? We need oxygen in order for cellular respiration to take place. Just like we can't survive very long without being able to breathe. So it's the idea of cultivating energy, cultivating qi, or the skillful use and practice of building our own energy. So that's qigong. And most people have probably heard of Tai Chi, which is kind of a cultivation of energy for a particular purpose, in this case, martial arts. But Qigong is a more broad term that is a branch of Chinese medicine that's basically flowy circular movements, kind of like moving like water, and using that to nourish different systems of the body. So different Qigong moves are literally like medicine for different organ systems that we have in the body. Now, the different organ systems are not only our physical organs that we know and love, like the heart or the liver or the kidneys, but they're these bigger conceptions of what those things are. So the kidneys are part of the water element. So the kidney and the bladder are this yin-yang pair that work together to govern the water metabolism in the body. But also, it governs the bones, it governs the lower body, the lower back, the knees, the ankles, the feet, the reproductive system, the hair on the head, how fast we age, right? The unfolding of our development through time, our reproductive system, our fertility, just like the emotion of fear, our willpower, all of these things are housed under this umbrella that we call the kidney system. And so in Western medicine, we just think of the kidneys as these organs in our lower back. And yes, they are that in Chinese medicine as well, but they're also this bigger conception. So kind of like if everything is qi, if everything in the universe is qi, it becomes hard to talk about. So we have to create these subcategories. And so kind of just like refracting light through a prism so that we can see all the different colors, that's kind of like what Chinese medicine does with qi. And so each color, each is like a little dimension of life both in the body and in the world. So when we're thinking about kidney energy, we're thinking about the bones. We're thinking about our ability to feel sufficient in ourselves. That is the kidney yin. The yin being that which is dense, cool, solid, supportive, but also flexible and yielding and feminine. Whereas yang is more the active, heating, busy, moving aspect of the body. So when we're doing qigong for the kidneys, a lot of it is gathering energy and feeding it into the lower body, and specifically gathering the yin energy, that which is like the solid, the cool, the moist, the dense. And a lot of that energy we think about coming up from the earth. So there's a point in the bottom of the feet called bubbling spring, which is the only acupoint at the bottom of the feet. And it's literally our connection to the earth. It's that connection to that dense, solid, supportive energy, which is so much the characteristics of our bones themselves. And so we want to be basically just taking in energy and feeding it into that organ system. And there's many ways in which to do that. And but generally speaking, just even something simple as combining your breath, your movement, and your intention to just even gather some qi, just literally gathering it with your hands and feeding it into your lower back, and imagining the color associated with the kidney system is either a blue-black or just black, and imagining that color just infusing the kidneys with this solid, beautiful light. And that is a form of qigong, is visualization, using the power of the mind and the power of the breath to unite with our physical form, and to provide some energetic strength.
How great is that we can literally I'm big into visualization. I know how powerful it is. And I also am very into the qi, because you feel it. You feel
Yes.
it. I mean, every morning I wake up and I gather the qi and bring it into my body. And I do it throughout the day, actually, because it just feels so incredible. But just to think that we can help our bones by increasing the kidney energy, activating it by visualizing black, visualizing the qi in that area of our back. I mean, how powerful is that, and how easy. That's the other thing that's so nice. You know, everybody thinks things have to be hard, but they don't. They can be, and this is a just different way of achieving a lot of benefits. So
well, and
great.
while we're on the subject, I mean, it's like this can sound really woo-woo and esoteric, and, you know, like using the power of the mind and all that, but it can also, in really practical terms, be thinking about addition and subtraction, right? That like, if you can't, but more yang means less yin. And so it's like, if your life is all about speed and productivity and busyness and energy moving outwards and paying attention to everything out here and being distracted and moving all the time without ever getting quiet, getting still, going inward, right? This is how we cultivate our yin, is by turning our attention inward. And so even just practicing that for a few moments a day, we are shifting the balance of yin and yang in our lives in a really powerful way.
You know what's funny about that is that the nice thing is you don't have to think about it. The thing with Qigong is, you know, yin is this yin. You don't even have to think about it. You can just do it.
Exactly.
And what I found is so many of the people I work with, you know, they're just people who love meditation, and I do personally love meditation, but there's some people that don't want to sit and do meditation. And this is an amazing alternative as a way of looking inward, relaxing the system, quieting down, as you said, getting rid of the noise, which is so important, because for everything in the body, you know, stress and cortisol wreaks havoc. And as we've talked about before in this podcast with the bones, you know, stress actually causes a reduction in the activity of the bone building cells, you know, besides affecting your digestion, affecting really really our immune system, every aspect of our health. So I think that this is just another way that people can reduce their stress, increase their clarity, plus they're increasing their kidney energy
and their
helping the
energy in
bones.
general, right? You know,
Yeah.
like it can be very energizing. Like you can use qigong to rev up or to relax down, and it's like it really, I mean, that just like taking a deep breath in, you know, that if the emphasis is on the inhale, we are building the energy, and if the emphasis is on the exhale, we're releasing pent up energy. And so it's really, it doesn't have to be more complicated than that, really. And I love what you said about how like a lot of people find it difficult to sit still, whether this is because of old trauma where sitting and being in the body can be uncomfortable, or it's just that we just feel better when we're moving. But that's what I love about qigong as well, is that you don't have to just like, okay, sit down, relax, calm your mind, you know, that you get to be in your body and you get to kind of explore what feels good. How do I want to move such that I can open up areas that feel tight? So because really, like that in Chinese medicine, the model of health is free flowing energy in the body. Everything, just that life is designed to be in motion, just like a flowing river versus a stagnant pond, right? That a stagnant pond is going to give rise to bad smells and disease. And just like that in the body, when we don't move enough, when we don't breathe into every space in our bodies, that things can feel tight and stuck and stiff. And it's and obviously that's not good for us. And so being able to gently open and expand and unite the consciousness with every part, that it's we're literally allowing life to flow through all these different parts of us.
You know, that's what's so great, because, you know, I'm sure so many people listening are at desk jobs or sitting at their desk,
Yeah.
and they certainly aren't getting qi flowing. And just to stand up and do a simple exercise can make all the difference in the world and really turn your day around. A funny story,
Yes.
though. So as a physical therapist, I'm not a master of Qigong like you, Brodie, but I've taken some courses for physical therapists. And I was designing a program for the seniors of the state of New Jersey. It's called Move Today, an exercise program. And I know how beneficial Qigong is to me. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to try something and put it in the program, just a couple exercises, not having any idea how this will go over. And if I tell you, it's the absolutely favorite part of the program. Everybody loves them. And people have
Yay.
said that it's so life-changing. They're so much more relaxed. And we didn't even hit. So I just can't even rave enough from my own experience and experience of, I mean, there's thousands of people in the state of New Jersey doing that program, but just
So
people in
great.
general, I've seen so many benefits. But we didn't even talk about a huge, huge benefit: balance.
Absolutely. Yes, right? When we're standing up and we're slowing down, we are tuning into the subtler muscles, which are the ones that we need in order to balance, right? That when we're moving quickly and we're moving strenuously, we're engaging pretty much our big muscles. And so just the slowness and the subtlety of qigong, I suspect, is why it's so potent for balance. Plus you're moving very mindfully. And so that really you know, it's a simple qigong form could just be mindful walking, right? Just like letting how you pick up your foot and place it back on the earth be a meditation, and synchronizing that with your breath is a beautiful way of increasing your balance. Qigong has also been shown to increase bone density in some studies, and a lot of the studies that are out there that are good have been done on Tai Chi, but they're so similar. And really, Tai Chi is a form of Qigong, so one can say that a lot of these studies apply to Qigong as well. Plus, it just overall quality of life, immune health, mood, anxiety, depression. As I mentioned, bone density specifically. We even have particular movements that involve engaging it and focusing on the bones and on the marrow, and just landing softly on the heels, from, you know, raising up on the toes, landing softly on the heels, stimulates the osteocytes, right, to get going on building
The
bones.
osteoblasts, yeah.
Osteoblasts,
Yeah,
yes, thanks.
yeah. The interesting part about that
Yep.
is that it's similar. like from Western medicine, we think, okay, so we're going up on our heels, you go up on our toes and down on our heels. Yes, we're getting forces through the bones.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that through Chinese medicine, we're also stimulating numerous meridians.
Yeah, especially the kidney and bladder, the water element. So that has to do with the kidneys at a very deep level. So yeah,
And that's what's sort of
mm-hmm,
fun. That's fun in that it's so, it's fun in that when we're bringing this Qigong in, we think on one level, oh yeah, it's relaxing, but we don't realize the pathways. And there's so much more involved in Chinese medicine that we're benefiting from, that we feel so good. But I want to say one more thing about balance, because they've done all sorts of studies.
mm-hmm.
There was one study where they looked at like these very fancy machines that people were using to improve the balance versus Tai Chi and Tai Chi
Mm-hmm.
1. It's really,
Yes.
I think it's really been shown to be probably the best balance exercise. My philosophy is, no one's proven this, but I think we do a lot of weight shifting, and you're moving back and forward into different positions. It's movement, as you mentioned. And so when you're used to moving like that, and then if you trip or something, you have that in your system. You've sort of learned those patterns so that you can recover. And I think, that's one of the reasons I think it's so very powerful.
I think you're right. There's also the idea of, since it is a moving meditation, there's this body-mind component to it where you really, our sense of proprioception of where we are in space is something like that requires an accurate map. And so if you are spending time every day uniting your mind with your movements and really taking your mind's eye into your physical body, you have you're cultivating how much space you take up and where you are in space all the time. And so I think that that's going to make you more graceful. When the unexpected hits, you're going to be able to roll with it safely.
Yes. That's interesting, because how often, let's see who can relate to this. You're thinking about a million things. You have no idea where your feet are. You just have to get from place A to place B, and people are just not living mindfully. So this is like the complete opposite of being mindful. In terms of, the complete opposite. People are living their life not mindful. So this is the opposite of that, being very mindful.
And exactly. It's a true mind-body practice.
Yeah, it really is. Which just in itself, because you look at the health club, people are on the treadmill and they're just watching the TV. No idea where their feet are. No idea how they're breathing. No idea what their posture is. And then when you do the Qigong, you are really being very much aware of all of that. And when you're aware of all that, you can improve it. Plus it's quite powerful and makes a big difference, as you said.
Yeah, I think of it as really like Taoist yoga, in the sense that it's not about these static postures that you're supposed to, kind of embody, but it's a meditative and repetitive enough that you can really sink into it and let it be a practice that's really absorbing, as opposed to just that sort of zombie on the treadmill that you're describing, of like, how disconnected from what I'm doing can I possibly be? Just get me through this, entertain me so that I can be done with what I should be doing for my body. And so it just, and really, it can be something entirely different to be able to go outside and exchange energy with the environment, be able to take on the energy of a tree or the energy of a gentle flowing river, something like that. It's a way that that's kind of how Qigong originated, was the Taoists going out and observing nature and noticing that, hey, we're a part of nature, and that if we take this on in our bodies, then we're the healthier for it.
And if you're listening and think, oh my goodness, how could I ever take on the energy of a tree? Or this sounds a little strange to you. The good news is Brodie has some things that you're going to be able to try it. This is one of those things where it's great to listen to. When you try it, I think it's just so very amazing. And I think that you feel it. So there's nothing that even has to be said, because once you, am I right about that? It's an experiential. Once you do it, you're like, whoa.
Yeah, I think that's really true. That there is you can trust your own ability to sense, just see how you feel afterwards. What do you know, do you feel more energized, more calm, more grounded, more in touch with yourself, more mobile? All of these things are very common to experience even after just a simple practice. And then of course the benefits multiply the deeper you get into it, so that you're really cultivating energy that is more sustaining than simply an instantaneous state shift, which is important if you want to get out of stress, fight, flight, freeze mode and down back into your body. Super simple, right? Inhaling your arms up, exhaling your arms down until your hands are in front of your lower abdomen. Can be as simple as doing that 10 times, or like just that with nice soft knees, feeling your connection to the earth, feeling your tailbone tuck, feeling the top of your head opening towards the sky, coordinating your breath with lifting your arms up, coordinating your exhale with guiding your arms down. Simplest qigong in the world, and can make a massive difference.
Could we do like 2 of those right now? Yeah,
Absolutely.
let's
Yeah.
do it, because
So
this is one of the things I do. I do it. I
mhm,
love it so much that before I do any physical activity, before I
mhm.
swim, I do a few. I just do a few of these. But this can really turn your day around. How quickly? So just maybe like 2 of them.
So
Or
quickly. Sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
So
go.
so ideally you'd be standing for this, but that will take me too far away from the microphone. So we'll just pretend. So nice soft knees, relaxed shoulders, chin is gently tucked to open the crown of the head up towards the sky. Bring the tongue to the upper palate behind your upper teeth, and that stimulates the flow of saliva, which helps your digestion. If saliva collects in the mouth, you want to swallow it all the way down, imagining that it's going like a water of life into your low belly. And then we're going to inhale, arms float up, all the way up overhead. Make a connection with the sky with the palms. Turn the palms towards you, exhaling, slowly guiding the arms down like you have magnets in your hands, guiding the chi all the way down till below your navel, beaming in energy with your middle fingers, aiming towards your low belly. And we'll go one more time, inhaling, arms floating up. And exhaling as we slowly guide the arms down, soft elbows, soft wrists. Moving the hands slowly down to below the navel, beaming in energy and feeding that energy into our low belly, to this domain of the kidney and bladder, to this area that helps us feel grounded and stable and in touch with our vitality.
Oh, I love that. And you have the best voice, Brodie. I have to tell you.
Thank
No,
you.
because typically it's funny when I first, I've always liked Tai Chi and different things. When I first moved to where I live in New Jersey, there was a class that was going on from, a Tai Chi class. So I told my husband, oh, come, this is so amazing. And we went. It was through, one of those programs they have at the school, like night school that anybody can join. But the person was Chinese, but he didn't explain anything. He's probably a great master, but he just said, follow me. So it was very hard to follow, couldn't understand him. And there were people in the class that were doing things really incorrectly, and he didn't correct anyone. So it's such a pleasure when you lead the Qigong, because you explain, you make sure that everything is in right, alignment, and you have such an amazing voice.
Well, thank you. It can be, I mean, it's a very cultural thing, right? That the masters, just like a lot is in Chinese culture, especially, there is an expectation that you watch the master put on his shoes. You watch, you watch everything and you learn that way. And that that may be the way that it's been done in China for thousands of years. And of course, that's not how every master teaches. But for me in my classes, what I've found is that people really want to understand, for better or for worse, a lot of the people that I've worked with are very intellectual. They want to understand what's going on, and I actually think that we can use that to our advantage. It doesn't have to be a setback to want to be in our heads and to want to understand it, because a lot of it has a lot of logic behind it. And it's that it may not be a familiar system, but there certainly is a rationality to Chinese medicine that can be readily understood within, like looking through the lens of yin and yang and the five elements and understanding what is actually going on here. So I love introducing people to a little bit of the why behind the movements, and not just like a take my word for it kind of a thing, because I'm really curious. I want to understand what's going on. And so, it's just, it's always been, I've been in practice since 2003. And it's the kind of thing where I've always wanted to put as many of the tools of Chinese medicine into the hands of my patients as possible, whether that is learning how to use food as medicine, or how to breathe and move, or how to meditate, or where acupoints are, just like all the, and ways of living is really anything in our daily life can be adding to our yin or adding to our yang, taking us out of balance or steering us back into balance. If health is this continuum, it's not this binary of like, I either have this condition or I don't. It's like there's so much middle ground where before something manifests as a disease or as an illness or shows up on a lab test, you might indeed be heading that way. And so there's plenty of things that we can do to steer back in the direction of health, of vitality, of balance in all the systems of our body. And I love helping people know what those things are.
It's funny because Brodie has this, I think what you created is amazing, the 12 treasures.
Thank you.
Yeah. You can explain to everyone what this is, but I was going through the 12 treasures, and you talk about gallbladder.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I had, gallbladder issues that I really couldn't digest, certain food. And one of the things that you had said with it, which I didn't know, was that it making decisions.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And that's something now I'm pretty good at, but it's something that I struggled with, that I really had to work on. But I never realized that went with gallbladder. So I'm listening because I'm like, boy, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, gallbladder gives us, when we think of somebody has a lot of gall, right? What does that mean? It means that they have the audacity, right? And so like the audacity to do what? To live in accordance with who they really are, which requires detoxifying from your life the things that don't really work, right? Or, and making a decision that's in alignment with, if we only have a finite amount of vital energy and a finite amount of time on the planet, we want to cultivate it in the direction that is truly ours, and not in the direction of what someone else wants us to be, or to a survival strategy that we may have outgrown, that may have served us well when we were kids, but is not really in accordance of our authentic mission on the planet. And so it's really like, if that essence of who we are, which by the way lives in the kidneys, right, lives in this element of the water that we think about, that potential of who we are, that essence that is uniquely ours, our mission, our will, that is all kidney. And then the liver has the vision of like, here's what I'm going to do with that. And then the liver, so that's the yin part. And then the gallbladder is the yang that has the courage to pull the trigger and make that decision and to kill off the other options. And then that moves us from water to wood to the fire element, which is the manifestation, the doing of it. And that's where joy resides. And that's where contentment resides. And then from the fire element, just to continue this onto the yin side part of the cycle, then the fire becomes ashes, which nourishes the earth. And earth is that reaping what we've sown phase. That's the digestive system that allows us to be nourished by our lives. And then we move into the metal phase, the lung and large intestine, the letting go of what no longer works, and the preserving what's important, the autumn of the cycle before we go back into the winter, the preservation of our scarce resources of winter, which corresponds with the water element, which corresponds with the kidneys, which corresponds with our life force, preserving that essence and nurturing it. So the idea is that if we get really good at Qigong, we actually can create a little surplus in our bank account of vitality. So like, really, it's like when we're doing too much, like who isn't doing too much these days, right? Like there's all this pressure to be busy all the time, to be really overworking, over serving, especially women. There's all sorts of pressure on us specifically to be taking care of everybody else's needs before even just basic things like sleeping when we're tired and nourishing ourselves. And, all this stress that's like yang, taking us out of ourselves. And we can actually, so first of all, if we want to stop depleting ourselves and stop kind of dipping into this reserve energy, water element, bones, kidneys, all that, if we want to stop doing that, first of all, we need to be living within our energetic means. We need to be in integrity with our own energy. So that means honoring the basic functions of the body, which means paying attention. So like really your simplest Qigong can just be paying attention to what your body needs at every given moment. And then we can start layering on this additional energetic resource, right? That by our qigong practice is a way that we can have more. We can just be living off the interest in our bank account instead of dipping into the principal.
Isn't that amazing, though, that the other thing about Qigong, you can actually increase your energy? I mean, that,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know, and you can increase your Qi. It's not something like that it's depleted, oh, that's the end of it, that you actually have
Yes.
the ability. And that's, but I think that goes with life. You know, we don't want to live from our cup half empty. We want to fill ourselves up and nourish ourselves. And how wonderful that we can do this through Qigong. It's another means
Absolutely.
that I found in my life, and I know with the people I work with, it's just so powerful. I'm sure you've seen amazing things from the practice.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, ranging from people who no longer have their back pain or their arthritis pain that they used to have, to people who I just profound settling for the nervous system. If someone's dealing with anxiety, it's like can be so powerful, especially if those people often find it difficult to meditate. And
And
so,
sleep, right? People with sleep
yeah,
as well, which is such a problem.
absolutely. And really, for older people who can't. Um, like maybe they're demoralized that they can't do the physical exercise that they used to be able to do, right? That they used to be like a marathon runner, or they used to go to the gym and pump iron in this really vigorous way. It's like it's a way where you don't have to, it's a much more yin approach to yang of exercise, right? That it's not about panting and exhausting yourself and lifting till muscle failure, right? It's a very gentle way of moving the body, but at the same time it builds strength. And so instead of it being depleting to our hormones, right? It's within, for most people, it can be really it can be a form of exercise that you feel more energized after you do it than before you started.
So I know we can talk for hours. I just have
We
a very
could,
quick,
yes.
just a very quick question for you about the food. Anything in a nutshell, anything for
Yeah.
bones that in Chinese medicine would be like kidney energy, anything that we should know? Or
Yeah,
any easy thing. I know you could talk an hour on this
I
topic,
could. Well, but so one thing that we think about it from a Chinese medicine food perspective, it's not about calories, micronutrients, or macronutrients. It's about the nature of the food. So is its energetics? Is it warming, heating, cooling, cold, neutral, right? So like where is it on that spectrum? Also, what's the taste? And so the salty taste guides to the kidneys. So like so a little bit is going to be good and too much is going to be bad. Because like in Western culture, it's like we think that if a little is good, a lot is awesome. And that's not the case in Chinese medicine. A balanced meal involves all of the five tastes. So bitter, salty, sour, sweet, pungent, all together equals balance. And so so salty as in not necessarily potato chips, but like black beans or celery or Swiss chard, like these are things that have a little bit of a salty taste. Cold water fish, pork, these kinds of things that are like a little bit salty when you taste them are going to be good for the kidney system as a whole. And in particular, also, just if we think about the life cycle of food, that the things that, if we think about kidney as housing our essence and the bones being this sort of yin aspect, it's going to be things like seeds, like black sesame seeds are great for the kidneys, or legumes, right? That beans, that like the essence from which a whole plant can grow, that's the kidney. It's the pilot light of everything. It allows the reproductive system to be possible. So what's the reproductive system of an animal? Well, it's going to be eggs, right? So eggs could be potentially useful for nourishing the kidney essence, right? And so it's
Great.
kidney yin from there. So of course there's going to be a lot of, like I can almost hear your gears turning, Margie, as you think about like, oh, the leafy greens that are,
Right.
like you're going to be, yeah. So a lot of that, that
And
is
black
the case.
beans, the color
Yeah,
black is
exactly. The
kidney,
color
right?
black, right? The black
Right.
sesame seeds,
Right.
seaweed, also, and so that so yes, those kinds of things. But of course, there is no kind of like one diet that's good for everyone.
Of course.
So like none of this is going to be a particularly prescriptive thing, but just knowing that there is, and really in order to make use, like we're not what we eat or what we digest. And so in Chinese medicine, we think it's really important, if your digestion is weak, if you're dealing with loose stool or gas or bloating or anything like that, to be cooking your vegetables and cooking your food in general, because eating a salad, especially in the middle of winter, is like pouring wet leaves on your tiny little campfire. That's not going to go over very well, right? So it's like
And you know, it's
for
interesting because that's not something a lot of people are aware of, except if you've been exposed to, you know, Chinese. I mean, but in Chinese medicine, even in Ayurveda, you know,
yeah.
the cooking of the vegetables. But it really is true, because any digestive issues, it's much easier to digest food that's been cooked. So
Yes,
yeah,
it's a, so
you know.
really like if, and that's really first and foremost is that, you know, without, it, without good digestion, we're not going to be getting the nutrients down to the bone level. We're not going to be getting it into the kidney system anyway. And so really, and especially if this is, if you're listening to this episode in the fall, this is the season of yin, right? Like Mother Nature is putting all of the resources on the ground and under the ground, right? So root crops and zucchinis and, you know, sweet potatoes and it like squashes, these things that are yin nourishing, that are good for making us feel grounded, good for nourishing the yin of the body, is exactly what we need to be eating right now. And it's like it's time to leave off of the cooling raw stuff that we might have needed in the summer to clear the heat. It's time to be eating warm and wet foods
Oh,
that are going
that's
to be
great.
nourishing to yin.
Well, so Brodie, so I wanted to
Yes.
I want to let everybody know what's possible here, because now you've gotten everyone so excited, and I'm such a big fan. I mean, truly, I was so excited that you were coming on, because this is something that I practice on a regular basis. It's really completely changed my life, and I think anybody that learns it, it's like, as I said, the seniors in New Jersey are doing Qigong.
I love that so
Yes,
much.
isn't that the funniest thing? It's so
I think
funny.
you're a fantastic ambassador for it too, Margie. Your enthusiasm is awesome. So yeah, like so there's a few things. Like obviously, I'm in love with Chinese medicine, and I think everyone should know about it. So I have an online qigong course, 12 Treasures, which is rooted in something called 8 Treasures, which is a qigong form that is like a moving like a multivitamin for your body. Each movement correlates with as medicine for a particular system, and then I added 4 movements that to me were really critical based on my study of acupuncture of 4 additional meridians that are deeper in the body. And so that's my 12 Treasures Qigong class.
Can I just say something about that? So
please, yeah.
I before I ever like talk about things, I do them myself, because I really need to see. I don't want to promote anything that I don't think is safe or good or whatever. And I thought it was outstanding, quite honestly, Brodie.
Thank you.
But I love you. It's very simple, very easy to follow, and it's just something that anybody can do. And I just want to say one thing. If anyone has osteoporosis, it's totally safe. Just any of the postures that you just wouldn't do there's a slight bit of what would you call it? I guess I would just use a straight posture to do everything, and then from the hip.
Yeah, there's 12 movements, and in 1 or 2 of them there is a bit of a forward folding action, which is traditionally done with a rounding forward. And if you have osteoporosis, you would modify that so that you're bending at the waist as opposed to rolling, to preserve.
Right. So you're just keeping your inward curve in your back, and you're just
exactly. The whole thing can be done with that intention for sure.
Exactly.
Because again, it's like and it's using the power of the mind to gather energy to these different systems of the body. And so that is, I guess, you'll be including a link to that in the show notes. And I also have for people whose interest is really piqued by this, I also have a basics of Chinese medicine course that teaches you how to apply the principles to your life. And then what I love doing is yes, on the geeking out on information and giving people a practical practice that you can do in 20 minutes or less without buying any stretchy pants or going anywhere except your own house. So there's that. But I also have like a deep dive about like helping people actually implement the things that we all need to do in order to feel our best. And so this is the basics of self-care, which I consider the essential habits of self-respect. And so that's a program that I do twice a year called Level Up Your Life. And it's a really intensive thing for people who are really done giving themselves away to other people or to their jobs, and who really want to decide that it's time to actually get that rest, or eat the nourishing food, or make time to meditate, or to do the qigong, or to spend time in nature. It's like it's very much like these habits are not rocket science, right? They're basic, they're very simple, but so often there's a massive gap between what we know we should be doing to take care of ourselves and what we're actually doing. And so I want it to hold people's hand and say like, all right, it's hard. It's hard to do these things because there's a reason that they're not happening. And that reason has a lot to do with who we think we need to be in the world and how we think we need to show up. But what I've found is that when women, especially, can put ourselves at the top of our own to-do list and really prioritize these basic habits, it actually gives us more energy to show up for the people that in our lives who we care about and for our work in the world with much greater presence and power.
Brodie, that was so profound and so true. And I love that. Is there anything else you want to add? That was just so incredible.
Oh, it's just been such a pleasure to speak with you. And if people are into this, I have a podcast called A Healthy Curiosity, and you can check that out, and you can hear Margie's episode. I'm not sure exactly when that will air, but there's it's the kind of thing where if people want to learn more about the Chinese medicine worldview, I have interviews with experts, and pretty much always try to look at whatever the issue is from the perspective of Chinese medicine to give people just another lens of what we can be doing to take care of ourselves.
Oh, and that's what I love, because this really opens our eyes to things that we didn't even know existed. So try these things, at least try it, right? And you have something that they can experiment with, a short.
Yeah, definitely. So that little thing that we just did, if you want me talking you through it, that can be grabbed along with a seated meditation. And so, it's a little breathing bundle.
Great. So we'll have all the links in the show notes. And I can't thank you enough. It's been so much fun. And I'm excited because I just started doing it. I haven't had the 12 treasures for that long. So I'm loving it. I'm really loving it. It feels so great. And I love your voice. It's just so wonderful and soothing. It's so relaxing and so calming.
Great. Well, it's super fun to be sharing this with you, Margie. And I would love to hear back what you think after you practice it for a little while. And
yes, I absolutely will. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and hope we'll keep in touch.
Definitely.
I hope you've enjoyed today's interview with Brodie as much as I have and are ready to add some Qi Gong into your life. As we talked about, there are so many benefits. It helps your bones, reduces your stress level and your overall health. But you know what? Try it yourself and see. So the links to all Brodie's programs are in the show notes. And Brodie's being so generous and offering a $30 coupon for her 12 Treasures Qi Gong. So what you need to do is just put in breathe, for the coupon code, BREATHE, and you'll get the $30 off. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Happy Bones, Happy Life podcast. If you enjoyed this show, please subscribe on your favorite listening app so that you don't miss any amazing insights on upcoming episodes. And until next time, continue to live your best life ever. See you soon.